I'm not sure how many emails and Instagram messages I've received on this topic, how to create a proper thumbnail for gaming related content. So I was actually playing around with some Fortnite stuff for some reason, and I decided to give it a shot in Affinity Photo to see if I could make a really nice looking, appealing, clickable thumbnail. And that's what we're gonna do in today's tutorial. We're gonna make a custom gaming thumbnail, and it doesn't really, it doesn't have to be Fortnite, it can be any other game. And it doesn't really have to be a game, it can be, me sitting here doing this. And then, you can apply the same type of technique to create some really nice looking thumbnails. All the assets I'm using in today's video is going to be available for download down in the description below with the Google Drive link, so you can download all the assets, the fonts, templates to the projects, and also the different characters and backgrounds and everything that I use in this video is you can get it down in the description below. Now, the place that I went to download these 3D characters was Clipart. Clipart is a free page where you can download the high quality characters of Fortnite, any other Call of Duty, any other type of game, or if you want something else which is not a game, you can download it off Clipart and then just move it into Affinity Photo. And if this is the first time that you are here, welcome. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, that would be really appreciated. Also the like button for the algorithm. Now, with that said, let's head over to the iPad. So moving over to the iPad, we're going to use Affinity Photo to create our thumbnail. Now, if you have an iPhone only, you cannot use Affinity Photo. It only works for iPads, Macs, and PCs. So if you use an iPhone, you might as well use a different app to make your thumbnails, or find something which is similar to Affinity Photo, which is doing the same things. Now, after opening up Affinity Photo, you can see the two projects here on the top left corner. These are the two which I was playing around with, and we're gonna make this one in just a second. Now, if we go over to the top right corner, we can take a look at the different layers, and it looks like there's a huge amount of work involved in making this thumbnail, but it's really not. Most of the layers are just overlays being imported to the background. And you can also see we have 4 layers here. It's 3 texts and one which is an arrow, which is basically filling up almost half of the layers here. And we have the Affinity logo, the background, and the Victory Royale overlay as well, and some smoke. So we're basically going to work with 3 to 4 layers, maybe 5 layers, to create this effect, this glow effect. We can move over to a different project here as well. So if we take a look at this, it's the similar type of style, and the difference here is that we have the action lines, and that's basically the difference between these two, but they look similar but also different. So the next thing we're gonna do is to tap on the plus on the top right corner. Then we're gonna move down to import from photos. Now, once we selected that, we're gonna find the background that we want to use and tap on the background. So for this, I'm gonna go with the lake here. Now, once this is imported, we want to make this a little bit blurry, so this is not taking up any of the focus. So we want this to just be the background, and the focus is going to be on the characters that we import and edit. So we're going to go over to the layer section and make sure that the background is selected. The next step is to go over to the filters, and this is placed alphabetic, so you can just scroll down until you get to the letter G and you apply Gaussian blur. Once Gaussian blur is applied, I'm gonna take this down to around 5-ish and apply. So now we have the background blurred out, and we are done with the background, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. And we're gonna go over and import our characters and overlays. So now that we have the character imported, we're gonna go on and make 2 layers, and we're gonna go to the layer section, tap on the plus, and we're gonna select a new pixel layer. Next step is to go over to the color circle here and choose the color black. Now, once we selected the color black, we're gonna go to the fill tool on the left side, select that, and tap 1 time on the screen. This will turn the layer black, but don't worry, we're gonna fix this now. So back to the layer section on the top right corner, tap on the plus again and add another pixel layer. We're going to go into the layers and we're going to group these two layers. So we're going to take the top layer, select that, tap hold, and then drag it down to the bottom layer, which is the black one. Now, make sure that you don't place it above or underneath. Make sure that the blue line is centered above the layer, and then you can let go. Now, these two layers are grouped, and we're now going to add a gradient map. So we're going to select the bottom pixel layer, which doesn't have the black background to it, and we're going to go over to adjustments, and we're going to find the gradient map. Once the gradient map is selected, it will be red, so we're going to go on and change this to turquoise. So we're going to change all the different knobs here to turquoise, where the left one is darker, the middle one is the normal, and the right one has the luminance of around 70. Once this is done, we can tap on the move tool here to sort of save everything, just in case you tap on something else and reset everything. So tapping on the move tool is the safest option. Now, once we tapped on the move tool, we can go back to the layer section on the top right, and we're going to take the gradient map here and drag on top of the bottom pixel layer and group these as well. Now, once you let go, you will have that black screen back. The next step is to go over to the top layer, which is the black pixel layer. Select that, go over to the three dots, which is here, and we're going to change this from normal blend mode to screen. And now we have the original image back. This allows us to draw on the background and the character itself, and the drawings on the background will be slightly more transparent than the ones that we draw on the character, because the blend mode screen will be applied to the drawings coming on the background. So now that we have the preparation done for the drawings that we're going to do a little bit later, we can go on and we can make a glow effect around the entire character. Now, there's different ways that you can do this. You can use just the effects tool and add the outer glow effect, which we're going to go through in a second here, but this really helps spice it up a little bit, and you can add more colors to the drawing instead of just having one color selected, which you will get by choosing the outer glow. So the next thing we're going to do is to hide these layers, and then we're going to select the character. Once the character is selected, we're going to tap on the plus and add another pixel layer. Once this pixel layer is added, we're going to make sure that this is selected, and we're going to go over to the paintbrush, and we're going to choose the same color. So that is 170. We're going to take the saturation to 100 and the luminance to 50. But once we try to draw on the image here, you can see that nothing is appearing, and that's because we have the Protect Alpha on. So we need to deselect the Protect Alpha by tapping on it one time. And now that we don't have the Protect Alpha on, we're able to draw on the image. But I don't want to draw on top of the character here, so I'm going to move over to the history and just delete or remove this, and you can use the history to move back on the adjustments that you have done previously, which is a really nice way of speeding up things as well. So the next step is to move the hardness all the way down to 0, because I want to have some fade to the brush as well, and I don't want it to be so hard. And I'm also going to increase the width of the brush size here, and I'm going to take the pixel layer and drag underneath the image, because I want to draw behind the character and not above it. And then you can change this later on anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but I want to draw behind the character right away. So once we have that selected, we can start drawing around the character. And once our drawing is complete, you can see we now have a massive glow effect around the character here. So if we turn this off and on, you can see the difference. Now, before we move on, let's take a look at the sponsor of today's video. So if you're looking for sound effects for your videos, whether it's for lower thirds, pop-ups, cinematic videos, or gaming videos, Epidemic Sound has you covered with more than 90,000 sound effects of the highest quality. The browsing experience on their website is one of the best. It's so easy to search for the specific sound effects you need, and if you want more of the same type, you can click on the Find Similar similar button and the website will find everything which is similar to the one that you listen to. You might also need some music for your videos, and this works in the same way. When you find a song that you like, you can click on Find Similar to get all the similar songs listed. I find this extremely useful when I make my videos. If I find a song which I want to use as a background track for my tutorials, instead of struggling to find similar songs to match the first track, I click on Find Similar and I have multiple tracks that I can use in an instant. The price comes in at $15 a month, but you can try it for free for 30 days with a link in the description below. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we can use the outer glow as well. So let's hide this pixel layer here with the glow and select the image, go over to the effects tab and choose the outer glow effect. Now changing this to the same color and then adjusting the radius, you can see that we also achieve the same type sort of glow effect around the character, because the character is it's a transparent PNG image, so it's going to be easy to get the perfect lines around the image or the character. But in my opinion, the drawing around which we did earlier is going to provide the best end result once everything is done. But when it comes to the drawing that we did earlier, here is where we can actually spice it up a little bit more. So if we select the drawing and then we choose the color white, we lower the brush size and then we draw a white feathery line around the body of the character, you're gonna get more of that glow, as we have the white line being closer to the character, and as we get further out to the edge of the character, we have that neon look. So this is gonna look a whole lot better when everything is finished. Now, once this is done, here is the before and after of the drawing. But for now, we're just gonna leave this off and we're gonna go over and we're gonna enable all the previous layers that we created, the 2 pixel layers and the gradient map. So we're gonna apply these and then we're just gonna hide the layers so we don't mess it up, and we're gonna select the pixel layer with the black background. Now, once we have the black pixel layer selected, we're gonna make sure that we have the drawing tool enabled, and we're gonna change the color to the same turquoise color here. The hardness is gonna be back up to 100%, and we're only gonna play around with the width. So I suggest going from around 5 to 15 depending on the areas that you want to draw. So the bigger drawing line you have, the more visible it's going to be and the more colors you will have to work with. But it's really easy to overdo it if you have a big brush size. But you can always go back to the history and go back to the previous adjustments that you did if you end up not liking the look. So the next step after we draw the line is to move over to the brush tool, which is here. We're going to tap 2 times on this and we're going to choose the Smudge Brush. So strength is deciding how hard the pull is going to be when you drag out the colors, the flow is deciding how much opacity it's going to be, and the width is deciding how big of an area that you are dragging out. So I suggest using the same size as you use when you are painting the color. Now for the strength, I used around 50% on the entire drawing here. The only main thing I adjusted was the width. Now with the smudge tool, you're able to smoothen out the line that you just draw, and you can drag out parts of the color to make awesome effects. So in this case, you can see we sort of end up making that fire-ish effect on the character's leg here, which is looking quite good. Now it's gonna be looking weird to begin with, but once you have the whole thing complete, it's gonna look a lot better. Now if there is parts of the drawing here that you are not happy with, but you don't want to erase the entire line, you just want to trim it down a little bit, you can move over to the erase tool, take the hardness all the way down to the 0 and adjust the width, and you can now just remove parts of the drawing that you have done without removing the entire line. So you can basically trim it down as you wish, and once you have done this, you can go back to the smudge tool and you can drag it out furthermore in different directions if you want to do that. Now once we are very zoomed in, it's not gonna look that great because it's not a whole image. It's just a part of the image or part of the effect. But if we zoom out here, you can see that it's starting to take shape and it looks a whole lot better right away. Now, this smudge tool works best if there is detail. So let's say the jacket, for example, you can see the lines here in the jacket. So if we draw a line here all the way up the back of the character here and go over to the smudge tool and drag the color and drag the lines out here, and we're gonna drag it so we sort of fill the gaps of the lines here in the jacket with the neon or turquoise color here. And after we've done that, you can see that we have now a lot more details in the jacket and it looks a whole lot better. Now there's also another way that you can use this to, look even better. Now if we take a look at the character's arm here, you can see that it's already highlighted by light. So we can also use this method to enhance the parts of the character which is affected by light. So once we draw the line here and use the smudge tool to fill the lines in the arm here, we will get a total different look of the character and everything will be more highlighted and look better. So if we take a look at this from a distance now, you can see we have a total different looking image which is more highlighted. Now I'm gonna go on and finish the drawing here and we're gonna take a look at the before and after. Now if we take a look at the tusks here, we want to highlight these a little bit as well and maybe make them look a little bit better and maybe a little bit more cartoonish. So we're gonna draw a line around all of the 3 tusks here and then we're gonna use the smudge tool to even out the line and sort of drag it downwards so we fill the details in the tusks. Now once we have done this with all the 3 tusks, taking a look before and after, they really look a whole lot better. So here we have the entire character before and after. Now once we finish the entire drawing around the character here and highlighted and smudged the parts that we want to smudge, we can move over to layers and we can add the blur around the character and we can see that it's now being enhanced a lot. So without the drawings it looks good, with the drawings it looks a whole lot better, and with the glow that we created earlier it really looks awesome. Now like I said earlier, you can use the outer glow as well, so let's go on and just apply that and reset and add some tiny glow to it. And I'm not saying this looks bad, and it really looks good, but at the end I think the first glow that we created with the turquoise and white color looks a whole lot better, and the total image will look better once we get to the overlays. So let's start by adding some text here, and if I didn't say it already, there is going to be a bunch of different things included for download down here in the description. So you're going to have the font to which you can download, and you can have the characters that you can download, and basically everything in this video you will be able to download down in the description below. Now after we added the text Fortnite, we're gonna just customize this a little bit, add some shadow and outline to it, and we're gonna duplicate this and change the text to thumbnail, and we're gonna duplicate this again and change the text to tutorial. So now we have Fortnite thumbnail tutorial, and we're gonna select the thumbnail and just change the color to a yellow. So we're now basically done with the text. The next step is to place the text where we want it to be, and to multi-select all of the different layers. Instead of using the move tool and then select everything, you can tap on the text in the layer section and just swipe to the left. So now we have all the 3 layers of text selected, and we can drag it where we want it to be. So I want this of course to be behind the character and behind the glow. Now the next step is where we add some more overlays to make it pop even more. Now you can add action lines if you want to have that by downloading the action lines, which is in the description below. Adding those and go over to blend mode and choose a blend mode screen, you are done. Now make sure to place this at the bottom because you don't want this to be on top of everything. You want this to be at the far end and behind everything that's on your screen except for the background. Now the next thing we're gonna do is to import another overlay here, and we're gonna apply this smoke. So again, choose blend mode screen and you are done. Now I'm gonna remove the action lines here because I think it looks a lot cleaner and better without. But we have the smoke here. Let's go on and add another smoke just to make it pop even more, and change the blend mode to screen, and we are basically done. Now we can apply the outer glow which we created earlier here, and you can see the image here. Here we have the character without anything applied. Now the cool thing about the drawings that we did earlier, if you do more drawings and you sort of draw everything in details of the character, once you disable everything, you can use the drawing as sort of a hologram effect or whatever you want to use it as your thumbnail, which is actually looking quite cool. So here we have the entire drawing of the character, and you can use this to make your own type of transparent holographic thumbnail effects, whatever you want to do, but this actually looks quite awesome. Anyway, let's go on and enable everything here, and let's go on and import another overlay. This is going to be the Victory Royale, and I want this to be behind the character, so I'm going to drag this all the way down underneath everything and above the background. Now the next thing I want to add is one more of the same character which does not have any effects applied. So I'm going to apply the same character, just flip it around by going over to the transform and tapping on the flip, and I'm just going to resize this and add another overlay here, or the Affinity Photo logo, and I'm going to place that behind the character on the bottom left corner. So now we basically have the before and after here, and just adding an arrow which is just basically saying like this is before and this is after, and changing the color of that to red. We are basically done with the thumbnail. Now one more thing I want to add is another character which is standing behind the character to the right, which we customized. So I'm gonna go over and add another overlay, and let's go with this character right here. I'm just going to increase the size of it and just make sure that this is placed behind the other character, and we now have something that looks like this. So the next step is to go over to the save button here, and we're going to do export, and we're going to tap on share and choose save image. Now once you've done this, you will end up with a thumbnail that looks like this. So there you have an easy way of creating your own custom thumbnail for gaming related content, for whatever type of things that you are, needing a thumbnail for. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video as well. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this video, and also give it a like on the way down there. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and that's going to be the end of today's video, so I see you in the next one.